For 5 years, basketball fans have been glued to the saga of women's hoops' most magnetic rivalry, Caitlin Clark versus Paige Bueckers. These aren't just household names, they're the faces that have grown the women's game and blown up TV ratings. Clark, known for her deep threes and viral passing, didn't just outshine Bueckers in college. She pulled the sport into the mainstream, setting NCAA tournament records that put Iowa on the national map. Meanwhile, Bueckers' path at UConn came with sky-high expectations from a program with more championships than any in women's college history. Legendary coach Geno Auriemma never shied away from hyping his star, but he also poked holes in Clark's game, questioning if her style would really work at the next level. Fast forward to last night, Clark and Bueckers finally met as WNBA pros, with Clark on a mission to smash another record and show she's the face of a new era.
All right, black and white sports supporters, well, that's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about when we are referring to Caitlin Clark running the show. Caitlin Clark running the offense, being the innovator of offense, the distributor of offense for the Indiana Fever. This is exactly what we mean.
Let's paint the picture. Back in high school, both Clark and Bueckers were top 5 national recruits, winning Gatorade Player of the Year honors in their states and filling up gyms everywhere they played. Clark from West Des Moines lit up scoreboards, finishing her high school career with over 2,500 points. Bueckers, the pride of Hopkins, Minnesota, was just as dominant, winning 3 state titles and earning the Naismith Prep Player of the Year. Their highlight reels got millions of views, and even in those early days, they played together as teammates for USA Basketball's U16 and U19 squads, winning gold and building a friendship even as rivalry brewed. Their games couldn't have been more different. Clark, the aggressor, always in attack mode. Bueckers, the silent assassin, surgical and efficient. From prep tournaments to AAU to the international stage, their paths crossed often, but the world wanted more, especially at the college and pro levels.
Right here, this game was an absolute blowout. Dallas Wings didn't know what hit them. Everybody ate in this game. Let's just jump right into it.
When it came time to choose colleges, the drama intensified. Bueckers picked Geno Auriemma's UConn Huskies, a program that sent more players to the WNBA than any other, and where expectations are championship or bust every single year. Clark shocked some by choosing Iowa, a program hungry to make history, and with only one previous Final Four appearance back in 1993. Their decision set up not just individual legacies, but entire fan movements. UConn's blue blood tradition versus Iowa's underdog grit. In the 2023 NCAA tournament, Clark delivered a 41-point masterclass against UConn, the first 40-point triple-double in men's or women's NCAA history, sending the Huskies home in the Final Four. That cemented her reputation as a March legend and helped Iowa draw the highest ratings in women's basketball history. Bueckers' steady leadership and clutch shooting kept UConn elite, but Clark's explosive play changed the whole conversation around women's sports. It was no longer just about winning games, but about rewriting what was possible for an entire generation of athletes. The rivalry, already fierce, became a cultural phenomenon, and the stage was set for the moment they'd finally meet as professionals.
5 and 4 since Boston and Lee Yeruda jumping up, and we are underway.
Geno Auriemma, the legendary UConn coach, is a master motivator, but also a relentless critic. He's coached 11 national championships and more WNBA talent than any coach in history, including legends like Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird. When it came to Caitlin Clark, Geno never bit his tongue. He questioned her shot selection, her defensive discipline, and whether her green light game would translate when facing elite professional defenses. But it wasn't just about doubting Clark. It was a clash of basketball philosophies. Geno believes in team basketball, disciplined execution, and making the right play. Clark's brand is built on risk-taking, audacious shooting, and the belief that one transcendent star can change the outcome of any game. Bueckers, meanwhile, was molded in Geno's image, efficient, fundamentally sound, always reading the floor. This rivalry wasn't just player versus player, but coach versus coach, old school versus new school, and that tension followed both women into their WNBA debuts.
Caitlin Clark is now has the 5th most double-doubles with points and assists in WNBA history. All right, now to put that into some context, she's played 1 year plus into this season, and she's missed 10 games.
Let's set the stakes. Indiana Fever fans were desperate for a bounce back. The Fever, who had only made the playoffs twice in the last decade, had just suffered embarrassing back-to-back losses to the LA Sparks and the league's new expansion team, the Golden State Valkyries. These were games they were expected to win, but chemistry and confidence were crumbling. Off the court, Coach Stephanie White and Caitlin Clark had been in a highly publicized tug-of-war over playing style. White favored methodical half-court sets, relying on veteran presence, while Clark wanted to run, push tempo, and play the pace and space style that made her a star in Iowa. Reports surfaced of tense sideline exchanges and viral clips of Clark and White arguing during timeouts fueled debate on social media. The pressure on Clark was immense, not just to win, but to prove that her way of playing could actually succeed in the WNBA's ultra-physical, defense-first environment. This wasn't just a regular season matchup, it was a culture war with the future of the Fever and possibly the league itself on the line.
Think about that for a moment. Right here, how about this? Caitlin Clark has reached 200 points and 100 assists this season.
Behind the scenes, the Indiana Fever's season was teetering on a knife edge. Clark's up-tempo vision clashed with Coach Stephanie White's methodical half-court philosophy. In college, Clark ran more possessions per game than any other Power 5 star, averaging nearly 78 points per contest at Iowa. The Fever, meanwhile, ranked near the bottom in WNBA pace and offensive efficiency before Clark arrived. Tension boiled over after a heated timeout during a loss to Atlanta, where cameras caught Clark and White in a pointed exchange. Basketball insiders later reported that the two had creative differences about how to unlock the team's potential. Yet these growing pains are common for rookie superstars and first-year coaches. History shows that even generational talents like Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird endured similar friction with their coaches early on. For the Fever, resolving this conflict wasn't just about personalities. It was the key to unlocking a playoff run in a crowded Eastern Conference. Roster instability only fueled the Fever's problems. Clark was still finding her rhythm after a brief injury layoff, while key teammates like DeWanna Bonner, recently acquired from Connecticut, and Dantas, returning from national team duties with Brazil, were adjusting to new roles. It's worth noting that in the WNBA, roster turnover can quickly disrupt team chemistry. Nearly a quarter of all players switch teams every offseason due to the league's hard salary cap and frequent trades. With so much lineup shuffling, Indiana struggled to establish any real continuity. The results were evident. Offensive sets broke down, missed assignments piled up, and turnovers turned promising runs into frustration. Clark herself was in a shooting slump, but she kept confidence high by referencing NBA star Steph Curry's philosophy, "You're only one shot away from catching fire." She told reporters, "I'll never stop shooting." The Fever finally snapped a losing streak with a gritty win over Atlanta, but the underlying friction between Clark and White hadn't disappeared. It was a temporary reprieve, not a real solution.
The fastest to do so in a single season in WNBA history. She missed 10 games. The most points in a half in franchise history for the Indiana Fever. It was 64-42 at half. 64. I'm surprised Stephanie White didn't have a heart attack.
The Dallas matchup loomed as a high-stakes proving ground. Fans and analysts debated, would Coach White finally embrace Clark's preferred style and give her the keys to the offense? This game would be the ultimate referendum on their basketball philosophies. Adding even more intrigue, Dallas entered the night as one of the league's top teams in forcing turnovers, meaning Clark's decision-making and pace would be tested at the highest level. Then came the bold move. Stephanie White made the call to let Clark run the show, unleashing her as the team's primary playmaker. For WNBA history buffs, it was a callback to when Phoenix coach Paul Westhead let Diana Taurasi control the tempo in 2007, sparking a championship run. For Clark, it was a green light to play her game, fast, aggressive, and creative. This wasn't just a tactical tweak, it was a potential turning point for both her career and Indiana's season.
I'm surprised she didn't bench all the starters coming out of the half. I'm glad she didn't, seriously. And Caitlin Clark in the first half, 10 points, 7 assists, 3 steals, and a blocked shot, and a partridge in a pear tree.
The first quarter against Dallas started off as a chess match, with both teams probing for weaknesses and refusing to show their full hand. The Fever looked organized but still played a bit cautiously, feeling out Dallas's defensive coverages. What many fans might not know is that Dallas entered this game ranked top 5 in the league for points allowed in the paint and second chance points. Early on, Clark focused on facilitating, probing with passes, reading double teams, and making sure her teammates were engaged. Dallas countered with physical defense, especially targeting Clark off the ball, a tactic that has grown more common against her since her NCAA days. Statistically, Clark already ranked in the league's top 10 for touches per game, a testament to how much she orchestrated the Fever offense even as a rookie. The tone was set for a back-and-forth battle, but neither side could break away. Fans waited for the eruption, and it was coming.
Good Lord, it was domination, 102-83 in this game. Caitlin Clark had a monster all-around game. Everybody ate in this game. Everybody got fed. This is what it looks like when they let Caitlin Clark run the show.
Then the second quarter exploded, becoming one of the most dominant periods in Fever history. Clark accelerated the tempo, pushing the ball up court after every Dallas miss and catch. Her passing vision shined as she dropped full-court assists reminiscent of Jason Kidd or Sue Bird in their primes. The Fever scored 36 points in the quarter, outpacing Dallas by 21 in just 10 minutes, a scoring run rarely seen in today's defense-heavy WNBA. According to league statisticians, the 33-9 spurt that Indiana produced was among the most lopsided runs of the entire 2025 season. This wasn't just Clark lighting up the scoreboard. Her passing ignited her teammates, creating open looks and easy baskets. It's worth noting that only 2 teams in WNBA history have ever put up more points in a quarter. Fever fans hadn't seen such fireworks since the Tamika Catchings era, and the team's energy on both ends of the court reached a season high.
Here's Clark being hawked by Isaiah James. Clark sidestepping three is good.
Clark's leadership lifted the whole roster. Kelsey Mitchell, a consistent double-digit scorer and now Indiana's all-time three-point leader, found herself wide open time and again, thanks to Clark's gravity drawing defenders away. Mitchell's 21-game double-digit scoring streak is actually the longest active streak in the WNBA, underscoring her role as a top-tier offensive threat. Natasha Howard, a former Defensive Player of the Year, also benefited. Her 18 points came mostly in transition and off smart cuts, capitalizing on Clark's fast break passes. Meanwhile, Aaliyah Boston dominated the paint on both ends, grabbing rebounds and finishing at the rim with ease. The synergy between Boston and Clark has quickly become one of the most promising young duos in the league. Clark's playmaking not only energized her teammates, but also drew praise from ESPN analysts who compared her instant chemistry with Boston to the league's all-time great guard post combinations like Sue Bird and Lauren Jackson or Lindsay Whalen and Sylvia Fowles. By halftime, it was clear Indiana wasn't just winning, they were rewriting the playbook for what Fever basketball could look like in the WNBA's new era.
Kelsey Mitchell, 8 of 12, 20 points. Caitlin Clark, good Lord, what a game.
What happened next was nothing short of spectacular. The Fever put up a franchise record 64 points in the first half, breaking the team's previous high of 63 set in 2016. But this wasn't just about raw numbers, it was about how the points came. Indiana's ball movement was textbook, racking up 30 assists, tying a franchise record, with 13 of those coming from Clark. For context, only a handful of teams in WNBA history have hit the 30-assist mark in regulation. Sophie Cunningham, who's having one of her best years as a pro, came off the bench and poured in 13 points, pushing her past the 1,500 career points milestone. The bench's scoring punch gave the Fever a dimension they'd been missing earlier in the year, and this all-out team effort was noticed. ESPN's post-game analysis highlighted Indiana as one of the most improved squads since mid-season, noting that their offensive rating had jumped nearly 10 points per 100 possessions compared to the month before. The Fever weren't just putting up a big number, they were making a statement about how unselfish, high-paced basketball can change a franchise's destiny.
Guarded by Beckers. Here's Clark around the screen, 6 to shoot. Duntis whips it in, and Timpson finishes.
But the true highlight was Clark's historic stat line: 14 points, 13 assists, and 5 steals, which made her the only player in WNBA history to reach those numbers twice in a single game. This kind of all-around performance put Clark in elite company. Only Tamika Catchings and Cheryl Swoops had ever come close for the franchise, and even they only managed it once. But Clark wasn't padding stats. She was dominating every facet of the game, on both ends. Her anticipation on defense led to 5 steals, disrupting Dallas's offense and immediately sparking transition opportunities. She also added a block, which led directly to a fast break bucket for Sophie Cunningham. Basketball analytics sites like Her Hoop Stats noted that Clark's defensive win shares and on-off splits had already climbed into the league's top 12, remarkable for a rookie guard. Her performance drew praise across the league, including from former WNBA MVPs who pointed out on Twitter that Clark's ability to impact the game without forcing shots or chasing stats is what separates the greats from the stat chasers. This wasn't just a breakout, it was a coronation.
3 rebounds, 13 assists, 5 steals, a block shot, and 14 points.
Here's the exact moment the Fever made history. Clark notched her 5th steal of the night, completing a stat line of 14 points, 13 assists, and 5 steals. That's not just rare in the WNBA, it's historic. Clark is now the only player in WNBA history to reach this combination in a game twice in her rookie year. But the story goes deeper. On that same play, Clark turned a defensive stop into a lightning-fast transition assist to Sophie Cunningham, proving again that her defense instantly powers her offense. Analysts like LaChina Robinson praise Clark's anticipation, lateral quickness, and veteran-like court awareness. Advanced stats back this up. Clark ranks top 5 among WNBA rookies in both steal percentage and assist percentage, categories dominated by guards with years more experience. The Fever's team defense has also improved since Clark's return from injury, climbing out of the league's bottom 3 for defensive efficiency. This wasn't just about her numbers, it was about her impact on every possession.
This was one of the highlight plays of the game, no doubt about it, from Caitlin Clark. Right here, she's going to get she got a block shot, throws it down for the touchdown pass to Sophie Cunningham, a beautiful long pass all the way down the court. This is what we were talking about.
By the time the final buzzer sounded, it was clear. The rivalry had evolved, and so had Caitlin Clark. The prophecy had become reality. Clark had cemented herself as a franchise cornerstone, but also as a player redefining what's possible in the WNBA. This 102-83 victory over Beckers and Dallas showcased not just Clark's statistical brilliance, but also the team's new identity: fast-paced, unselfish, and relentless. The Fever's record-breaking night sent a message to the rest of the league. If you give Clark the reins, you get history in return. With high-stakes games looming against Connecticut and New York, the pressure is on, but so is the momentum. Fever fans now have every reason to be hyped for the second half of the 2025 season, and national coverage is following closely. Basketball writers across outlets from The Athletic to SB Nation called this the turning point for Indiana. If Clark keeps playing at this level, not only will she continue to break records, she might just lead the Fever into a playoff run that few thought possible at the start of the year.